Hi, my name's Holden Caulfield. I grew up in the 1950s in New York. When I was 16, I was kicked out of my prestigious boarding school, Pensy Prep, for failing to apply myself academically. This made me very sad. The day I was kicked out, I decided to spend some time with my roommate, Ackley, whom I despise because he's a real phony and he's quite mean. I also spent some time with my other roommate, Stradlater. He's quite the sexy bastard, and gets lots of girls. I look up to him, but sometimes he infuriates me. That evening, he was going on a date with a girl named Jane. Jane was a girl that I'd had a crush on before. I tried to tell Stradlater about how great she was, but he wouldn't listen, and he tried to have sex with her, so I got very mad at him. He hit me, and I got a bloody nose. This made me horribly mad, and so I decided to leave early, even though my parents weren't supposed to pick me up from Pensy until Tuesday. I got on the fastest train I could find to New York City and headed off. My parents live in New York, but seeing as they didn't know I was leaving Pensy, I decided I was going to stay in a hotel. When I got to New York, the first thing I did was get in a phone booth and think about all the different people I could call. There was Carl Luce, my old friend from school, Sally Hayes, an old girlfriend, there was Jane, Mr. Antolini, an old teacher. So many people, but eventually I couldn't call anyone. When I got to the hotel, the elevator man offered to sell me a prostitute, and I agreed before really considering my options. When it came time to do the deed, however, I got scared, so I decided just to pay her instead. However, Maurice, the elevator man, showed up and demanded that I pay $10, more than the $5 we'd been agreed upon. This made me very mad, since they were lying and they were phonies, but I paid anyways. Later, I went dancing at a club. I tried to socialize with the other patrons, but they wouldn't really treat me seriously because I was young. This made me angry. Why were they so phony? They wouldn't respect me for who I was. They just looked at my age. The next day, I went skating with an old girlfriend, Sally Hayes. I liked Sally, a bit, but not too much. She was always talking about the Christmas tree that she was planning, that she wanted me to help her trim. I, on the other hand, couldn't stop thinking about the cabin in the woods I wanted to build. I asked Sally to run away with me, but she said no. I told her about my dream, what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to stand over the edge of a cliff and stop young kids playing from running off the edge, like a catcher in the rye. Later, I went and visited my good little sister Phoebe. She was really happy to see me, but she got angry at me when she figured out that I'd been kicked out of my school. She accused me of not liking anything very much, which is totally untrue. I like tons of things. It's just that most things are phony. Later, I went to my old English teacher, Mr. Antolini's house. He was very kind to me and offered me some advice and a place to stay because I was very tired, hungry, and cold. That night, I slept on Mr. Antolini's couch. However, partway through the night, I was extremely surprised to find that Mr. Antolini had put his hand on my forehead. This freaked me out a lot. Was Mr. Antolini a pervert? I got angry because his previous affection might have been phony, and so I ran away. I was dead set on leaving New York for good, but the next day, my little sister Phoebe met me at the museum. She convinced me not to run away, and so I took her to the merry-go-round in Central Park. Seeing Phoebe sitting on the merry-go-round, happy, moving around and around in cycles, really got to me, and I started to cry. I guess Phoebe was okay with change, because it came in cycles, like the ducks leaving the pond and returning in Central Park. Later that year, I was in a hospital for my tuberculosis that resulted from my mental breakdown. I'm getting better now, though, and next year I'm starting in a new school, where hopefully I'll apply myself.